Okay, back at it again. Had some general maintenance to do on the KLR 250 to get it to where I want it to, and also some more upgrades. Here's my laundry list of general maintenance. I replaced the headlight with a LED one. That is off a Yamaha. Well, it's for a Yamaha TW200. Another bike, basically an 80s bike, but they still make it pretty much the same, but they do give it LED headlights, I noticed. So that looks good. It's certainly much brighter than the OEM one, and it updates the looks. You can also see that I added a light bar to it. That is a Harbor Freight 8-inch light bar. It has 4 spots and 8 floods. So 4 floods on each side, and then those 4 spots in the middle. And I haven't taken outside at night yet, but just here in the shop, that thing lights up the night. It's going to be pretty cool. This stock headlight was really anemic in these, and it's an old glass halogen bulb, replaceable bulb. But that's heavy. I probably saved about a ½ pound or more, and also gained. I took a picture. The LED headlight's only about that thick, so I have all this extra light room back there in the brain bucket. Some of which I have some of my extra wiring for my light bar. I'll probably do a separate review on that. But I did a handlebar switch, and that is wired to the battery, so I can run that even if the bike key switches off. Woohoo! Wow! And it is a lit, nice weatherproof lit handlebar mount switch. Pretty happy with that switch so far. It seems like a good quality switch. Yeah, I wired. The wiring for this goes straight to the battery. It does claim to pull 2 amps, which isn't horrible, but it came with some good cabling with loops on the end, and it also has a battery tender type terminal. So now I can unplug this by the battery and plug in a battery tender, which the bike really doesn't need it because this is kickstart only. But there it is. Anyway, it's nice to have. I modified these brackets by slotting them out on the top here, and then I took a grinder and I cut a slot into the Allen head screw, and then I welded some nickels in there. Washers were too thin. These were just right. So these are quick release. So basically I take these thumb screws, loosen them, the whole light pops out. I left about 20 inches or so, maybe 24 inches of extra wiring that came with the light instead of cutting it. And guess where I stored it? Back behind the headlight, where the room is now. So I can actually dismount this. I can adjust it on the fly. I can dismount it and use it as work light, which is great because it's super bright. I added this clip-on windscreen. I wanted to see if up around 50-60 plus miles an hour, you get a lot of pressure on your chest, and you end up using your hands to hold on to the handlebars to kind of counter that. And I put this on there. I tell you what, I wasn't expecting much of a difference, but it sure made it a pretty big difference. Really don't feel that pressure on my chest at all anymore. This was like a $30 deal. The nice thing is that it has a quick release there. It's not so much a quick release as it is just an adjustment latch, kind of like a bicycle clincher. So if I'm going to be doing some serious off-roading, and you can see it has that those grooves there, those slots. So I can actually loosen that, and this can come down to kind of get out of the way here, maybe help protect it a little bit, and it tilts. It's just tight enough now that because I'm still kind of playing with the adjustment settings on it, but that's a pretty neat feature for a bike like this, to be able to get that out of your way if you're going to be doing some more aggressive off-roading. I updated the mirrors. The old mirrors were the round lollipop ones. They weren't terrible. They were certainly a dated look. I really like the way these look, but more importantly, the view on these is way better than the rounds. One reason is because unfortunately they do stick out further. The lollipops did not stick out past the end of the bar ends. These do. So I actually have to fold one of these in when I'm bringing it in here to get through the doorway. But yeah, those are a really nice looking set of mirrors. And the lollipop mirrors, because they were round, this one, when you're getting up over 70, it would actually try to unscrew itself because of the aerodynamic force on it was greater on the outside. These do not. Honda style ones stay nice and tight, even though it's loose enough that I can pop it with my hand to loosen it, because they use left-handed nuts on the right side. The double nut on it is a left-handed thread, which is kind of weird, but it's smart when you think about it. And on the laundry list, the headlight, I put a fuel filter in it. I drained the tank because the fuel valve was still letting fuel go by, even in the fully shut off position. I put a whole new fuel valve on it, put a fuel filter in it. I put the seal savers on, fork seal savers. These are the zip-on ones, so you don't have to dismount the forks, which is really slick. I put a new spark plug in. That was a pain in the butt. The OEM spark plug, even though this was the same exact number, was a size smaller, and none of my spark plug sockets fit it, and I was freaking out wondering why it wasn't coming out. Then I finally found out it's a different hex. Lowered the fork tubes a little bit. Bike was feeling a little bit tall with them all the way down, about 10 millimeters, so we'll see how that goes. Dumped the carb. I think there might have been some gunk in there because this thing was like shutting off on me, and like it was out of gas, and then I'd flip the fuel valve and then it would come back on. So hopefully I have some sea foam in the tank too. I just filled it back up. And I put a super sweet auxiliary USB port on here. Here it is. It's a nice waterproof type deal. It turns on and off with a switch, and it tells you the battery voltage when it's on, which is cool. I'm pretty happy with that. And it actually came with a handlebar mount, quick release handlebar mount system, which is cool. Really happy with that. And that's about it. I have some nice wide foot pegs ordered for it. They're not in yet. These are okay on the road, but when you start standing on them, they're kind of smallish. So I got some nice wider ones. Should be a little more comfortable. Alright, well, that's it for now. I'll probably do a quick before and after. I did it before on the stock headlight, so I'll add that if there's time. Alright, have fun and be safe. I forgot, I did so much to this in the last couple days. I was changing the clutch cable out proactively. It wasn't broken or anything, but I found out just because it was old. And when I took it off and I removed that boot from the old one, this is a spare new one, I ordered two, that cable was only on there by a few strands. So even if your bike doesn't have a lot of miles, mine is around 11,000. I would go ahead and at least inspect it. If it's going to break, it's either going to be at the head or down here, and probably just proactively replace it if it's a 20-year-old cable. I lube mine. I think I did a short video on that before I install them. I gravity lube them. I hang them from the ceiling, make a little funnel, and then put lubricant down there. So just wanted to mention that. Good idea to have a spare. I was going to use the old one as a spare, so when I saw it was broken, I went ahead and ordered another one. And unfortunately, the first one I got was the wrong cable, so put that on last night. Check your clutch cable, or just change it. Keep the old one as a spare. Hello, welcome to the channel. Working on the KLR, putting on some new Farkles, mostly electronics here. I'll go over that later. LED light bar, LED headlight, and a charging deal. I'm replacing the clutch cable, not because there's a problem with it, but just because it's old. So I have the new clutch cable here, and this is just a quick tip how I prep my new clutch cables. Make a little funnel I used a little plastic bag and some tape and clamped the cable up, put the other end down into either a drain pan or trash can, and then I go ahead and fill this up with a lubricant. These cables are pretty dry when you get them. They're really not lubed, even though they're new. I'm using PV Blaster. You can use liquid wrench if you like, WD-40, whatever you like. Anything's better than nothing. And shoot it in there, fill the bag up a little bit, and then let it gravity bleed down until it comes out the other end. Then you got yourself good good lubed cable. I like to use something that's an anti-rust and also a water dispersant. So there you go. Quick tip. Forgot to mention, I noticed I did an inspection on my lights, turn signals, brake lights, and I noticed my brake light was sticking on when using the foot pedal, and it was the pedal itself was seizing. So it was rusty on inside of that pivot point. I could take this screw off with an impact driver and free that up, take it off, sand it up, get the rust out, and shoot it with some grease. I just shoot it with a liquid wrench to free it up and get it off there. But yeah, check your brake lights once in a while. If your bike's older, make sure that gets lubed. A lot of people probably miss that in their regular maintenance schedule. This thing actually is supposed to have the oil changed, ridiculous, every 500 miles. I checked the maintenance schedules on similar bikes, dual sports, and they were all right around there. They were all right around 600 miles. Even the new ones, the WR and the CRF Ls, none of them were over 600 miles. So 500 miles isn't horrible. I'm sure maybe some of the TWs and the old battle axes, lower compression engines, maybe you can get away with longer intervals. So yeah, check your brake lights, front and back, to make sure. If you think those brake lights are coming on but they're not, then that's a safety issue.